My name's Joey Flores. I'm a founder of Inversion Art. I've been in the tech entrepreneurship space for 24 years, have been in a number of successful startups, including founded my own company back in 2010, which we got into Y Combinator with. But I'm also a painter and an artist, a multidisciplinary artist. So, very much have a love for the arts, but come from a tech startup background.
My name is Jonathan Neal. I am the co-founder of Inversion Art. Prior to partnering with Joey on this venture, I was the director of the Center for Business and Management of the Arts at Claremont Graduate University. And prior to that, the founding director of Sotheby's Institute of Art in Los Angeles. I've served on the mastheads of a number of art world magazines and journals, including Art Review magazine and the Brooklyn Rail. I've worked at the Drawing Center and the Brooklyn Museum. I've taught at Columbia University and the New School and other institutions. And I have a PhD in modern art history from Columbia University as well.
We hope to change the way that artists are funded and supported with, a combination of both access to financing, but also access to services and things that they need in order to advance their careers in a more scalable way that gives them more control over their own destiny. The truth is the reserve price for this collection is going to be set below what you would be able to buy this work at if you were to walk into the studios and buy all of these works individually. So there is a deal to be had here in bidding on this collection. It's going to, it could potentially go for less than what it would go coming out of the studio. The ultra contemporary art space has been kind of exploding over the past decade, and Jonathan can speak to this far better than I can, but we look at results all the time for works that we know left the studio 5, 6, 7 years ago for $25,000 or $30,000 and are going up at auction and selling for 2.5, 3 million, $3.5 million. They're achieving 300x multiples, 1200x multiples. That's just something that's not happening with a Picasso. So when you look at what's happening in the fractional art space, other companies, what they're doing is fractionalizing what we call blue chip works, which is, essentially like, putting Pepsi on the stock exchange, right? You can, of course, go invest in Pepsi or, some of these bigger companies and, expect, good, solid, steady, modest returns over a period of years. But when you look at Silicon Valley and investing in the next Dropbox or investing in the next Airbnb, the fractional auction space, the fractional art space isn't really making those kinds of opportunities available. And yes, they're riskier investments. There's no question about it. Investing in startups is far riskier than putting your money into a handful of blue chip stocks. But the reality is that, you can only get, maybe 7, 8, maybe as high as 12% gains if you are diversified across a number of blue chip stocks. Whereas if you have, placed 20 bets on startup companies, that are well positioned for success, and you've done a good job picking those companies, you have the opportunity to get these like 100x and 200 and 300x returns, which is just a completely different type of investing. It's a little riskier, but it is where there is much higher gains to be had. And that's essentially what we've done here with this collection. We've got 6 incredibly well vetted, highly accomplished, artists whose works are still in the $5,000 to $50,000 range. Some of them, again, have, the McCoys have works that have sold for, $100,000 and above, and of course the one for 1.3 million. So, some of these artists have already had, outcomes far higher than the price of the works that are going into this show. But, we're looking at 10 works across 6 artists. They are signature works from these artists. So if you look at the piece that, is in the auction from Ima Ime, it's one of the most important pieces that Ima has created. It was exhibited at the August Wilson African American Cultural Center in Pittsburgh. It's probably going to be exhibited again, numerous times. Even if it gets bought by the fractional owners, I'm sure it will be exhibited during the time that they're holding on to it. These are important works from these artists. And so, this is really an opportunity for people to invest in that earlier asset class. Not only, I think one thing we haven't really talked about is, not only have they been vetted, not only do we believe that they're exhibiting signals that, correlate to very good long-term success, but, these artists also are working with Inversion Art, who brings a level of professionalism to managing their careers and their studios that most artists don't have access to. And what that means is, a lower failure rate, improved outcomes, like the work that we do with these artists to both bring in new opportunities. And HRX is just an example of one of those opportunities. But, we work with them to bring in, potential brand sponsors and other people, and things that are going to elevate their careers. So, not only are you kind of investing in a group that has been chosen by a team of art world experts. We've got the former chairman of Global Fine Art for Sotheby's on our board. We've got the curator of one of the best private collections in the world on our board. So not only has this group of artists been picked by people who really understand what we're looking for here, but they're being supported by our organization in a way that, makes them a lot less risky to think about, that they are not having the same bottlenecks as other artists. They are not having the same issues as other artists. They're able to take on more ambitious projects than other artists because they've got an entire team of people behind them helping them. So I think, this is an opportunity to not just invest as sort of like, an early stage venture capitalist in the art world, but, kind of more like the Y Combinator of the art world, because we just take such an active role in promoting the careers of our artists and, making sure they have the resources and support they need to do the kinds of incredible things that will make an artist's career. Our support allows them to take risks, and artists taking risks is how you get, these big artists who, end up with these profound works in the major institutions, is like their ability to take on more than what they're capable of doing by themselves. And so, their relationship with Inversion Art is freeing them up to focus on, Ima is a perfect example. Ima is, the amount of work he's able to do in the studio right now, because he's not dealing with the day-to-day, he's got all these opportunities. Work's got to be shipped out. It's got to be, insured. All of these things would normally be taking time away from him. But because we're doing those things, the amount of work he's able to create right now and the scale and the size of the work is just dramatically different. So yeah, I think, investing in this collection is allowing people to get in early on artists who are, very proven, have great traction, have great track records, have a lot of accolades, but also who are receiving support that is just going to completely change their ability to pursue their dreams and a big outcome, that they would not be able to do if they didn't have the organization behind them.
Artists who feel comfortable in being able to take risks in the studio and take the risks with their career in order to achieve something transformational are the artists that in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years will be not just the marketplace, but the institution, right? They will be the art world, and everything else will sort of follow in their tracks. And rather than trying to bet who is going to end up, in these sort of already built temples of value, we're genuinely committed to following the artists where they are going to go, and I think that's where the big gains are really to be seen. I think these are artists and these are works, and things that people are going to be doing in the future that genuinely will be transformational, right? Not every single one of them, I can't guarantee that, of course, but I do feel pretty strongly that the artists that we're working with, given the talent and the commitment and the ambition, are going to be doing pretty interesting stuff.